Sprite is a special type of animation. It has several states. You can control its transition between different states. For example, let's look at this example. This one has a man. He is currently in this static state. Then you can click to make him enter a different action. And then come back. Of course, you can switch him to other states. Now there are several different states set. This is another action state of raising hand. This is another action state. Now it is a different action state. Let's see how to implement it. Assume we find an animation on the internet. Download this animation. Then import this animation into the workspace. This is an animation. The image is a bit large. First, let's shrink it. Shrink it by this much. Then scale it. Okay. We can check it. There are many images here. So it may load a bit slowly. It may be a bit slow. There are a bit too many images. Maybe we don't need so many. Let's remove some. How to quickly remove some images? Just remove them at a fixed interval. Remove one every 5 frames again. You see the number of images keeps decreasing. Repeat again, and it's almost done. Now we can set the states. Assume in the default state. Let the default state stay still. These few images are still. This is the default state. This is state 1. You can rename it. We took a shortcut. Assume state 1 is this animation. Then let's assume state 2. State 2 is the animation of raising hand. Then let's assume we set state 3. State 3 is this animation. Then we give it a name. Set the type. Just choose this one. Good. Almost done. Save it. Let's take a look at this background. Change the color. Just feel better. Then if we control its state. Assume we randomly give it a control. Here is a trigger sprite animation. After we click it, it will show here. The sprite in the current workspace. Available states. Let's assume this corresponds to clicking. It switches to state 1. Then this one. Assume we click it. It switches to state 2. You see here is the new sprite animation value. Sprite animation value runs once. It doesn't switch and stay in a new state. Instead, it runs once in the new state then returns to the original static state. Almost done. Let's do a demonstration. Now it is in the default state. We deliberately set it to have no animation. Then click this one. It starts to perform an action. Then click this one. It can perform another action. In other words, we don't necessarily click it. It is a message of a state. For example, a message theme. That is to say. For example, let's take a simple example. For example, we can actually use emotions as a substitute. At every moment, it has an emotional value. We can set states based on this emotional value. In other words, for example, happy or unhappy. This way, it is easy to create a space. The learning and cognitive space of students. It is easier to engage, right? It is easier to generate an immersive learning experience.